Carl Sagan, thank you for making me aware of this American Life Secret Fed recording episode. One thing that frustrates me, and I wonder if they receive pushback from NPR, is that I feel the presentation of the story failed to set the problems of the revolving door mentality within a broader context. Yes. That to me is the quintessential problem with NPR. They don't contextualize these things because, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. I don't have a single clue why, but they do this with a lot of stuff. They'll report on things, but they will make it like it's a story that is unique as opposed to a larger pattern. And I think that's because they don't want to get political, right? Because I can take any story in the world, and this is what Rush Limbaugh, to his credit, does quite well. I can take any story in the world and make it seem like a complete anomaly, or I can feed it into a completely false narrative, or I can feed it into a completely accurate narrative. And when you put it into a larger narrative, it becomes political. Because then all of a sudden you start to say, hey, like there's something systemic going on here. And it doesn't have to be necessarily ideologically political, but it is something that could be addressed by our political system one way or another. And so it seems to me that NPR always tries to avoid in contextualizing a story like the Fed recordings or any other story. I remember like when 10 years ago with the whole Janet Jackson boob thing. Maybe this was now, I don't know. Maybe it was more than 10 years ago. And they were talking about the FCC and television companies or something. And they made it all about that. There were hearings about that, et cetera, et cetera. And nobody thought to say, like, meanwhile, they're relaxing Sinn Fin rules. They're relaxing all sorts of other ownership rules. They're not talking about that. The entire story about the FCC and the government and the hearings and the broadcast corporations were centered around that one Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction. And there was no touching on, but also you should know that while they're reaming the television networks about something that is largely irrelevant, they're giving away, literally, never mind the fact that, free use of the airwaves, which is auctioned off in other countries, they're giving away massive giveaways to these broadcast networks. And then if you want to contextualize it even more, you should also know that the broadcast network's number one source of revenue are political campaigns. And then you should also know there's this relationship between them, and none of it's being discussed. But we're going to cover this story, and ostensibly you're going to think you're getting the unbiased news. That's always been my problem with NPR.